Edward Teague and Patrick.
Cosgrove.
Patrick's, of course, been on this show before. Tonight, as our opening round, we have Melvin Wall, with his own personal human fuel deck. An interesting Golgari deck centered around humans. Kind of an offshoot of five color humans, but it's a really interesting deck, I promise you. And then, of course, we have a man who needs no introduction, Sam, with his Arc-like Phoenix deck.
Yeah, it's gonna be standard. Is it Phoenix's? He's telling me there's not even a whole lot of variation that he's seen in it. So I'm actually probably, if I were to give a guess as to who's going to take this right off the top, it's probably going to be Sam. Is it Phoenix's is way too efficient these days for what it does.
And just to elaborate, when we say standard, we don't mean standard as in format. We mean standard as in the general deck, not any deviation. It is a modern deck because this is a modern event.
It is a modern F&M, but there are certain staples that exist. I think we're seeing a steam vents, or is that the check land?
No, that's the fetch land.
That's fetch land. Okay,
What is it? Scalding Tarn, I do
Skullington.
believe.
Yeah.
Just to throw it up there, the crux of the Arc-like Phoenix deck is, of course, Arc-like Phoenix, the new and improved Phoenix coming out of Ravnica.
Yeah, thing is absolutely ridiculous. Hard cast or just discarded to play from graveyard after burning.
One thing I've actually thought was really weird. This deck is very
Looks like we are throwing a
faithless looting,
faithless
throwing
looting.
two.
Two birds in the grave already. That is terrible for Melvin. Absolutely god awful.
That is a fantastic turn one move there.
Now you're more familiar. This is the Death Touch human with Afterlife 1 from the new Ravnica set.
Yes, Orzhov Enforcer, I believe is what it's called. Let me see if I can pull that up.
You have misspelled that terribly.
Well, what do you got?
Oh, just go to Mythic Spoiler. Alrighty, Thing in the Ice hits the ground after Steam Vents comes in.
uh, for the understanding, that is in fact Orzhov Enforcer.
It's
Thing
a
in the Ice, very powerful. Is that a foil?
yes, it is. It's
Oh God, that's gorgeous. Thing in the Ice.
probably one of the best cards out of the latest Innistrad set. It looks like we've got an enchantment in play.
That would be Uvenwald Mysteries.
Hmm.
It is a 3-drop green enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get a clue token. And whenever you sacrifice a clue token, you get a 1/1 white human soldier creature.
It's very interesting. Um, Thing in the Ice is probably one of the best cards printed in recent years, to be completely honest. Um, let's see here. Is this a Manamorphose?
It is a Manamorphose. So the question is, does Sam have what is necessary to go off here? A second Manamorphose followed by 2 Lightning Bolts would be the trick here. Looks
That
like he's going to go with a Thought Scour. I think he drew a land. And if I'm correct in my turns here, and I might be wrong, but if I'm, yep, he does get to play a land this
mhm,
turn.
is going to bolt off the crater.
That I think will actually be 3 spells this turn, and I believe Arclight Phoenix is
Negative. That's going to be Manamorphose this turn. Oh, yeah, that is 3 spells. That means the birds should be coming back.
they come back at the beginning of combat. So he has the land. He's gonna throw out something else. Uh,
I
so
can't see what that is.
it's a 1-drop blue spell, that's for sure.
An Opt, maybe? Yeah, Opt.
That is an old opt.
Yes, it is. That might be lethal.
That is 3 damage, 3
That's
damage, and
13.
7 damage.
That's 13 damage. My god, this deck is fast.
That was a turn 3, 19 damage. No, 16 damage total.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he had the. No, he did bounce the spirit, so that is a thing. Melvin's got to make a move here real quick.
I assure you that is game.
He sacrificed the clue to make the human draw the card, but without something serious right now,
The
it,
Zulaport Cutthroat does not help here.
unfortunately not.
So
This
this
is
is going to be 2 Phoenixes over the top and a Lightning Bolt from hand.
Yep, basically. Well done. Sam takes it in 4 turns.
4 turns.
Pretty quick turnaround there. Uh,
Izzet Phoenixes is extremely fast, hyper efficient. Um,
that being said, this depends a lot on what Melvin has. But in black, and I know he knows this, a ley line of the void would serve him incredibly well. While he does blow up a lot of things, he actually doesn't care much about his own graveyard, which is kind of weird because it's a Golgari themed deck, but it's not actually graveyard play.
throwing things in the grave and playing them are 2 different things. I am interested to see how it runs. It is somewhat unfortunate that he went up against Izzet Phoenixes in the very beginning. Izzet Phoenixes is dominating almost every single
Format.
format right now. It's great in modern. It's great in standard. It's being tooled with in legacy. It's being used in commander because of how easily you can ditch something to the grave.
I think honestly the reason why has a lot to do with the fact that it is basically a storm creature.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't. It's not exactly right. No, it doesn't get more stuff per spells. But if you play it in the same format you play as Storm, but it's creatures.
I mean he could have ended that if he had a cantrip in hand. Um, Nah, the deck is just so fast, and it nigh pilots itself. And the worst part, boys and girls, is you don't even have to get the birds in the graveyard. They cost 4 mana. Like, you can hard cast them.
We have seen Sam hardcasting because he just did not have the cantrips in hand. He's like, you know what? Here's my 3/2 in your face.
Yeah.
As a,
And at the end of the day, it's a 3/2 flyer with haste. That is a solid creature for 4 mana, and no double colored requirement. It is just 3 and 1 red. Um,
easily splashable.
yeah, no, you can play it in almost anything. Getting ready for game 2 after sideboarding here. Now, one thing I will say is if Melvin has done the very smart thing here and used his black mana that he produces a ton of and has decided to run a full play set of extirpates and Tormod scripts, he's fine. He will just be able to exile the birds out of the graveyard and that will be game. There's not actually enough burn, I don't think, in the Izzet Phoenix's deck to actually kill somebody outright.
I do believe that Sam runs a deviation in the sideboard. He does have a young Pyromancer in there,
Ah,
and for an option to go wide. I don't know if he. One of the unfortunate things for Sam is he has no idea what Melvin sideboarded. He has no idea what Melvin does, so he doesn't really know what to sideboard in to try to counter anything.
no, he's just going to hope that he can once again get 2 birds or so.
That was a perfect curve for Sam, by the way.
Yeah, and I've only seen it do one better, and I've seen a guy rip 3 off the top with a Faithless Looting and throw every single one of them in the grave, followed up by Manamorph, just followed up by everything you need to do to get all 3 of them out and swing in. Don't get me wrong, that never happens. All right, looks like we have gone a fetching. Island in play. Looks like a Woodland Cemetery, or at least a green-black tap land for Melvin was first turn, but no loss of life, which is advantageous in a way. But the lack of a first turn play is Serum Visions. Definitely one of the best turn 1 cantrips a blue player can throw.
Honestly, just such a good economic card. Just a 1 mana. Let me draw a card and set up my next 2. Just really good resource.
I'm really surprised actually that in this new Ravnica set with the Surveil mechanic we didn't get something akin to that. I wouldn't have mind seeing a black version of Serum Visions that said draw a card, surveil 2, or surveil 2 then draw a card, one of the two. That would have been fine. Scalding Tarn coming out, getting cracked for a Steam Vents. That's going to cost you 3 life, sir.
I like the etiquette, by the way, the offering of the deck.
Oh, that's very good. God, Thing in the Ice hitting the board again already. Mm.
Extremely powerful card. Sam's definitely got to do something about it, like soon.
Well, Sam controls it. Melvin has to do something about it.
Sorry, you're right.
These tap lands are definitely not the way to go. He's going to have to bait him into a block in some way, shape, or form. But chances are that's not going to happen. So here's the unfortunate part, ladies and gentlemen. Thing in the Ice is a kill condition by itself.
Because it turns into, what is it, Awoken Horror, right?
Yeah, something like that. Manamorphose coming out. Down to 3 counters on Thing in the Ice.
So yeah, Thing of the Ice turns into Awoken Horror 7/8 and
Stand
bounces all
by.
non-horrors back.
He Thought Scours himself, gets a bird and another Thought Scour into the grave, draws a card. He's going to go ahead and opt, draw a card.
That is a Lightning Axe.
I think so. Woken Horror transforms. It's also the 3rd spell this turn. Discarding the bird off of the... Gross. The beginning of combat. Here come both birds. And once again, turn 2 swinging for 13.
Well, turn 3, but yeah.
Turn 3, yes.
A lot of damage out the gates there.
Faithless Looting is awful strong. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I would not be surprised if we just see... Yeah, this is going to be, once again, 2 birds over the top with a lightning bolt from hand.
Oh no. He's going to Bone Splinter. Kills the Awoken Horror.
And his own creature.
But he also does get the Spirit.
It's a flyer, right?
Yep.
1/1 flyer.
Little time being bought there.
And we're going with the Lightning Axe. Young Pyromancer. Getting discarded for it.
And a bolt coming in over... No, gut. That is a gut shot.
Gut shot. Either way, got in the 1 damage that it needed. And that is game 2 with a quick victory for Sam.
Less than 15 minutes total for both both games.
Jesus Christ.
That is the power of the Arclight Phoenix deck, though, and definitely the difference between a Tier 1 and Tier 2 deck.
No, most definitely. Though, don't get me wrong, I do respect Melvin for trying to bring something that was off meta. Good for you. But no, Is It Phoenixes is just ridiculous. Um, there's no real counter to it that's fast enough unless you turn 0 a Tormods.
Yeah. I mean, that or a Leyline.
Yeah, something.
Something that's just like, I'm not letting you play from your graveyard. But even then, you've got to be careful because, like you said, Awoken Horror by itself is a win condition.
Well, so is Young Pyromancer, and we saw that in the deck as well, right? He doesn't need to hit you with Phoenixes. If you focus on stopping the Phoenixes, you don't actually focus on stopping the other 3 threats that are in the deck.
Ultimately, when it comes down to a Dampening Sphere would do well, a Tormod Script and a Dampening Sphere would do really well. Because
Yeah.
that is one of the weaknesses of the Arclight Phoenix. He uses his mana very efficiently.
Yeah, not a lot there.
Damping Sphere completely throws that out of whack. It is literally the same counter that you do against Red, or is it Storm? You play the thing that makes your spells more or less and less efficient. But good game, good round one between Sam and Melvin.
Good
Uh,
showing. Good showing.
I definitely hope to see Melvin do better in round two. I fully expect to see Sam continue on. It's a tier one, highly competitive deck. He's won FNMs up here with it before. I expect we might possibly see Sam again in round four.
Oh yeah, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Arclight Phoenix is what, $60 right now?
No, not quite.
Go ahead and look it up on TCG Player. Now, keep in mind, this is a mythic out of a standard set that just dropped. Usually, even the most expensive cards, which are usually planeswalkers, come in at around $40. So if we come over here, let's see here. Nah, it's running about 27, 28.
Yeah, it was. I think it spiked at 32. Just for a mythic, it got printed fairly commonly.
Yeah,
Not to say that it obviously has value, um, but it's just that basically two groups of people hunted down the card, and even legacy players are going after the modern and standard were just all about this card.
yeah. You rarely see this from a standard printing.
Though to be fair, when it first came out, people thought it was trash. They were like, "Why do I want a 4-drop Phoenix when there's 3-drop
No,
Phoenixes?"
you're absolutely right. And that's actually one of the reasons why we're seeing so many of them is it was printed as a quote unquote junk mythic, not unlike our Underworld Cerberus back in Theros, which is currently seeing modern play. In Jund, just stop graveyard shenanigans because guess what? It shuts down Arclight Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's our first round, and we will be back with commentary. I'm actually going to go talk with our two players and see what they thought about each of those decks because my goodness, that was
A little brutal.
that was a little brutal.
So once again, this has been the Friday Night Magic Modern event up here at Nexus Esports on the corner of 6th and Columbus in historic downtown Waco. We'll be cutting to commercial break, but stick with us because round two is coming up soon.
Yes, sir.
I just like looked at this guy and he was like asleep, and I literally thought in my mind like I could literally stay here forever, and that was probably like the best moment.
And we are back at tonight's Friday Night Magic Modern event. Once again, your casters, Edward Teague.
Patrick Cosgrove.
Tonight we go with round two of the modern event. We have Milton versus Raymond, two individuals who also need no introduction as they are regulars up here at Nexus Esports on the corner of 6th and Columbus in historic downtown Waco. Um, Raymond playing his classic, more tempo-y 8-rack deck than what I would play, but hey, I like what I see. It's a very good deck. On the other hand, we have Milton bringing up a new deck to this week, and Patrick, if you can explain.
So he's running Bant Umbral Mantle or Bant Mantle. It's an interesting idea focused around activated abilities of creatures being reduced in cost. So what I would expect to see is Biomancer's Familiar and Training Grounds from original Zendikar. Um, Eddie's going to pull those up for you here. Here's Training Grounds. It's one drop enchantment. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost up to 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana an ability costs to activate to less than 1 mana. It's very simple but very effective. If we look at Biomancer's Familiar, we'll see that it reduces the cost of activated abilities on creatures you control by 2 as well. He's working on it. Very interesting little creature. And the crux of the deck is going to be Umbral Mantle. Very interesting.
hmm Which, of course, with either of the training ground effects, that becomes pay one mana to untap it. So if you put a Paradise Mantle on it, tap it for the mana, use that mana to untap it,
Correct.
and you have an infinite, basically a infinite pumpable creature.
Which is probably what we're going to see him attempt here. Very interesting. And
If you could give it Vigilance, you can swing before without it tapping, and then instantly pump it.
yes. Well, no, because if it untaps in combat, then it's removed from combat.
Your mom's removed from combat, Patrick.
But the interesting thing here is actually Biomancer's Familiar. While the Training Grounds only reduces up to 2 and can't reduce below 1, Biomancer's Familiar can. So, interesting. Interesting.
So we see a turn one Aether Vial coming out, and I believe it's a Darksteel Citadel as a land. Aether Vial being just one of the dumbest Magic cards ever printed.
Uh-huh.
I'm disappointed in his selection of art style, though. Why is that not the original? Ladies and gentlemen, background information on Aether Vial, originally printed in Mirrodin as a uncommon.
So, let's see here. I'm assuming a Thoughtseize hit. I can't actually see what Ray played. Deciding between Fun Police and another Aether Vial. He decides to get rid of the
Deputy of Detention, I do
Deputy
believe.
of Detention, which is interesting.
So, Deputy of Detention, the new
D-Sphere.
detention sphere on a creature. Um, I don't know how you feel about it. I have my own feelings about it. I prefer the enchantment. I prefer the enchantment because it's generally harder to hit than a creature. This thing's killable by damage.
Sure. And not a whole lot of it either. It's only 3 on the butt. And in Modern, that's a lightning bolt away from giving your opponent back everything you detained.
If he had been one less and been a 2-drop detention sphere, he would have been fantastic.
Or if he would have had Flash. If he would have had Flash, it would have been fine.
That too, that would have also helped. Although I don't know where you would have fit the flash on that card.
I don't think it's overpowered at 3 and doing what it does.
No, I just meant the text. That's pretty
Oh,
full.
yeah. Well, I mean, you use a smaller font.
Uh,
Aether Vial coming out, and we are dropping a Noble Hierarch.
at instant speed, protecting it from the hand destruction coming out here.
And he's going to go ahead and get rid of the Aether Vial. Ray, I don't know if that was the smartest choice, actually.
He's passed 2 chances to hit a Crux in his deck. I don't think he sees where this deck is coming from, though.
No, it's going to be too late if any of this goes off. Don't get me wrong, Tempo 8 rack is very fast, but his opponent is playing into blue and green, both of which have massive card draw potential.
And if this is going back to Milton, he has Noble Hierarch. He has 2 sources of mana to get out that mutant. If Ray doesn't have the kill spells in hand, this is going to be Milton starting to go off here.
Not only that, but we see 3 land hitting already. There's Biomancer's Familiar coming out. Swinging with Darksteel.
Oh, that's not Darksteel then.
No.
That must be Inkmoth or Blinkmoth Nexus. So the Ray took damage, so I'm assuming that's Blinkmoth, because
Yeah, it's
Blinkmoth didn't have
Yeah,
anything.
it's Blinkmoth.
Which is a little interesting that he didn't go with that. I would have thought he would have gone with the Infect creature, to be honest.
Either one works. Three mana out on 8 rack. This deck gets awful dangerous at 3 mana. You're talking about you can start laying down combo pieces, and you can start throwing a lot of hand hate at somebody.
I'm actually going to pull this back up for reference. The Biomancer's Familiar.
Ring, ring.
So we see another Biomancer's Familiar coming out. I think Raid, was that a Bantu's Reckoning?
Yeah, he just time walked himself. This is not a good play.
Milton getting in for some easy damage there. Definitely punishing Ray for the Thoughtseizes he played earlier. Ray needs to get a source of damage on the field. Otherwise, all this hand destruction isn't really doing anything.
Agreed.
There is a Mutavault. That is a source of damage.
Smallpox wouldn't hurt here. This might just be beat down with Biomancer's Familiar. Ooh, Training Grounds hits.
And once again, I'll pull that up for reference for those who missed it before. Good old Training Grounds.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I like the way this deck is running already. And the fact that Milton can sit here with an empty hand until we see a rack hit the board. It doesn't really matter unless Lily starts killing things. So we've got a rack down.
That being said, that's also the mana to activate Mutavault. So that's unfortunately just damage that's not going to happen now. So what's he going to do? So he's going to uptake the Lily. Milton's going to get whatever was in his hand that wasn't very important. Milton takes the damage. Milton can currently get enough damage off on Lily to get her down to 1, which will basically put her into position where she can only +1. But if Milton can't use the card in hand, then it just leaves him a little bit exposed. Like Lily can then just +1, get the card out. She's got to use out 2 cards out of Milton's hand. That's a lot of cards out of Milton's hands.
And that's going to go at Lily. Yep, goes down to 1. And what is that? Is that an Inkmoth Nexus?
I think that's an Inkmoth Nexus.
That is an Inkmoth Nexus. 2 man lands on the board. My goodness, you can't spell.
Here.
Yep, there it is. Alrighty, back to Ray, who's got 2 cards in hand. This isn't really where you want to be as 8 rack.
Especially since right now, if he's going to plus one her. When he does, he gets rid of a card in his hand, doesn't hit Milton. Yes, Milton takes 3, but he hasn't been taking damage all game. He is not tempoed out.
No, he has to leave mana open right now just to protect from a Biomancer's Familiar and a Blink Moth and an Ink Moth. This is not good for him.
To be honest, Milton can, for the most part, just come out. Unless Ray's got the creature kill in his hands, he's going to move straight to combat. And if Ray doesn't do something about it right now, that's a negative on that, actually, Ray.
Yep.
So Lily's
That's a
going to
dead
die.
Lily.
Still spent his mana to activate his creature. That was yeah, a bit of an unfortunate play there for Raymond. Ray has 2 cards in hand. He still has the rack though. Like that's still there.
Which has put his opponent on a clock, but it hasn't done much more than that.
Furthermore, Milton's slowing it down now.
Milton has 2 cards.
To answer your question, Corsair, it is possible for Ray to lose. While Ray has the clock on Milton, Milton has the ability to control that clock by retaining cards in hand. Milton, however, has the way to consistently get damage out on Ray, and Ray, excuse me, Ray doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of answers. He hit himself twice with Lily, once to no effect, I believe.
Correct.
And that's just a lot of possible values lost. We didn't really get to see what Raymond pitched, but
At
Raymond
this
just did
point,
not
it
get the
actually
mana out.
doesn't matter. One of the bigger things here is there are 2 creatures on the board right now. Technically, there's a Mutavault and a Biomancer's Familiar. That Ink Moth and that Blink Moth can become creatures that can't be blocked. So if he's going to block any damage, he has to block the Biomancers. But the Biomancer's Familiar is a 2/2, meaning that if he blocks, he loses his only source of damage or protection from aggro. It's not a good position to be in. He's going to go ahead and take 3, down to 4.
Yep. He's going to put out a smallpox, sacrificing a land.
Yep, that is a smallpox. He's also going to have to ditch a card off that.
He did ditch a card. The real thing, though, is that Raymond's going to have to lose a life.
And he does not have the mana to activate right now. That is game. Did we miss a comment here?
Yeah. It's here. I'm afraid Milton's currently making some hard decisions here. Looks like he got rid of his land, but he's going to have to get rid of a creature now. I think I know what he wants to do. It's a bit of a gamey plan for Milton. Yeah, so he made the Ink Moth and just sacrificed it.
It's not a bad idea.
So now it really comes down to what does Milton got? Because I think he's going to avoid the damage taken. And then it just comes down to, can Milton finish this game? Yes, there's the...
Ink Moth hits again.
Yep. There's the Umbral Mantle.
Yep, that is an Umbral Mantle. It's going to equip for 0. And at this point, Ray might realize why that's dangerous.
That being said, Ray has answers.
Infinite. Yep, that's game.
Hard fought. I mean, it did come down to the wire there. Milton trying to get his pieces, but he did get them. And yeah,
Bant Mantle taking a victory. Very interesting deck. Very interesting deck. We're going to go ahead and do some sideboarding real quick.
what do you expect to see here?
I expect him to throw ley lines into his deck.
You think that'll help?
Can't be the target of spells or abilities. He has hexproof.
Oh, you're talking about Milton.
Yeah.
I was talking about Ray.
Ray, there's not really much of a sideboard here for 8-rack other than just creature destruction.
Pithing Needle would help.
Pithing Needle would
He
help.
could turn off Umbral Mantle. It's still an activated ability to untap.
Yeah. The problem with that being that he still has to waste a turn playing Pithing Needle. And he has to hope that he hits the only viable source. Like, the thing is, he would play Pithing Needle just to shut off one card, and we don't even know if that's the only true kill condition.
I mean, obviously it isn't. Milton almost won by just beating him down. The fact that the Umbral Mantle came out to finish the game was neither here nor there. Like, all Milton needed was 3 damage.
I would like to see Umbral Mantle, this Bant Umbral Mantle deck go off. I would love to see the first turn Training Ground, second turn Biomancer's, third turn Umbral swing. Right? Like, whew, boy. Hard to deal with.
Really surprised though we didn't see much creature kill from Ray though that game. Basically a smallpox and that was it. I mean, I almost expected Liliana to come out and pop Biomancer's Familiar
That's what I was expecting. I'm gonna have to chalk this up to Ray's inexperience.
a little bit. Like he didn't see it at all. He didn't see the Biomancer's Familiar. He didn't understand why it was so important until he saw Umbral Mantle and he was like, oh, okay,
And that's just part of the learning curve, ladies and gentlemen.
yep.
This Bant Umbral, this Umbral Bant deck, Umbral Mantle, Bant Mantle, whatever you
Bant
want to
Mantle.
call
I
it.
like Bant Mantle.
Bant Mantle.
It just rolls off the tongue. Bant Mantle.
Bant Mantle, right? This Bant Mantle deck is potentially very dangerous. And it's definitely not something I'd ever considered. And I consider strange things like this quite often, but
I'll be honest. I've looked at Umbral Mantle like a dozen times and I was like, who would play this? Now I realize who
well,
would play
when you
this.
can make it happen for free, why not? I've always wanted to see somebody absolutely break training grounds, so this is nice.
Yeah, like that was always one of the things that limitation
Yeah.
really sucked. Just like I can't get it down. I've wanted to make like my it's true Milton does like to take a lot of time sideboarding. He's very methodical player. But I've always wanted to take like Thought Profound. You turn it into a creature, training ground it to 0, but you can't.
Yeah. And when it comes to sideboarding, you got to give them a break, fellas. I've seen tournaments where sideboarding takes a good amount of time and a judge has to actually step in and tell people to hurry up. This is actually not that bad in comparison, I'd have to say. Just like I've seen people debate for 5 minutes on a mull to 5 on whether or not it was what they wanted to keep or what they wanted to throw away again. It's a competition, and a lot like chess, every now and again you have to take your time.
I mean, there's a reason why Milton has taken the FNM up here several weeks.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. It's not a bad thing. And if there are any new players watching, by all means, learn from this. Take your time. Well, I mean, it might be a little excessive in your opinion, but I mean, a competition is a competition. If there are prizes on the line, there are prizes on the line. I don't necessarily know what the prizes are this evening. Excessive for a regional PTQ? I don't know about that.
So it's round 2 or game 2 here with round 2. What are both players thinking? Let's start with Milton. He knows what Raymond's doing, right?
8-rack's pretty straightforward. It's not like you can sideboard out a new strategy.
Like you said, the only thing you could think of is ley line to I can't be targeted, which I don't even think he did. So, what is Milton's play? I mean, here comes the fetch if I'm reading this right.
Yeah. Fetch into shock. This might be turn 1 training grounds.
Not quite. Noble High Arc. Still a solid turn 1 play, mana ramping in. So, what's Raymond thinking right now? Does he think he understands the deck?
I mean, I don't know, to be completely honest. I think Ray says I need to make my strategy work, and he kind of knows what to hit now, but he's also going to be looking for other things. He goes for Coco, and Ray, I don't think that's the card that you need to be tossing.
He also can't go for it because I believe Coco's a 4-drop.
Oh, yeah, and that's Inquisition, not Thoughtseize.
He just set it out. I think he just set it out to be like, I can't target this one.
Gotcha. Looking at Biomancers.
Very nice of him to lay it all out, though.
Yeah, very, very nice. Also, choices. My goodness.
I kind of got to go for, like, my gut reaction is Biomancer's familiar here.
He's going to get rid of the Hierarch. I don't think that's a good decision. He's going off of the fact that there's not another land in hand. All right, but Ray, there's other cards in that library. He can draw another land. Bingo,
He
bango.
draws it. What is that?
I have no idea. I think that's a Blink Moth Nexus.
Ooh, interesting artwork.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up.
Yeah, Blinkmoth Nexus. You're right. I mean, the big thing about Blinkmoth Nexus is that it allows you to pump other Blinkmoths.
Right.
Although that was never really an efficient way to do that.
No, but more importantly, Umbral Mantle's on the field now. And unfortunately, 8-rack has no way to actively deal with artifacts or enchantments that are already in play.
That's true.
You can kill the creature.
And it will prevent him from casting the Biomancer unless he draws a land. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a Serum Visions in this Mantle deck.
He might have them, we just haven't seen them. There's always that. I'm just waiting for this next play. We're tapping 1.
A long tap for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Getting a really good shot there of Milton's ringed fingers. Engineered Explosives coming up for 1. That is extremely unfortunate for Raymond.
Yup.
Engineered Explosives, as Raymond is fully aware, is a solid counter
To the rack.
To 8-rack, yeah. Wretchmine coming out.
And we're not getting to see what Milton's ditching here, but we're going to assume it's everything but that Biomancer's familiar.
Oh, fantastic. We'd be happy to have Lane down here. So no play looks like coming out from Hilton. He is playing really low to the ground, but also just not really a whole lot of mana coming out for him.
I think that's the one thing that we're missing here is just one land. Any source of green or blue right now. Green or white, just another source of green, really. Can be a Thoughtseize.
allowing him to keep the Biomancer's familiar. Going to swing in for 2 on Milton.
And we might just see a complete and utter lack of mana here being the end of the game for Milton.
Augur of Skulls with an 8-rack coming out.
And on the draw, do we get a land? There it is. Fetching.
He's wondering if he can afford the life that he's projected to lose here, I think. Because life is a resource, but it is also a score counter.
Going for a basic forest.
Talking about 8-rack and efficient life plays. The other day I was playing against an 8-rack deck. I whirred out a Ratchet Bomb, instantly tapped it for the counter, and at my untap step before the upkeep and all the triggers, instantly popped it, killing 3 different racks. And it saved me, but I had to shock a land in to do it. So sometimes you got to make that efficient play.
Yes,
And
you
I think
do.
that's what he's worried about. So he goes and gets the basic land. I expect to see Biomancer coming out right now.
That would be the smart play. You have to at least try to get that on board because it is part of the win condition here.
He is somewhat worried about Raymond being able to have that kill spell available. The problem is anything he can't, like, there is no retaining cards in hand at this point. Um, it's just not possible.
Correct.
I mean, he did technically do that right. He does untap his land first, and then he gets the trigger from Augur of Skulls. Are you familiar with Augur of Skulls?
I am not. Go ahead and pull them up.
Feature site card. You sacrifice it at the beginning of your upkeep to make a player discard 2 cards. There was a Collective Brutality, I believe.
Looks like it. I don't know what he's using Collective Brutality for, though.
He used it to make give it a creature in -2/-2.
Oh, and he killed the
Yep.
Biomancers.
Actually, a little weirded out that Milton didn't use his engineered explosives at this point. He could have saved himself some life lost. It would have cost him a turn, but yeah, I feel like he could have done that earlier. There's the Aether Ball coming out.
Now, Ray did do this very well. He held his second rack instead of playing it trying to go for the kill very quickly.
He's going to go for an instant speed Funeral Charm. Are you familiar with Funeral Charm?
Yes. And that is a most likely game at this point.
I mean, I believe that Milton is down. Milton's going to use his land to block. Take 3.
And he scoops it up.
Yep. So we're gonna go to game 3 here. So where do we go from here? Milton got to see Raymond's full range of plays here. Raymond obviously knows, he's not gonna be taken by surprise like he did game 1. Where do we go from here?
Um, I really don't know. I'd say that the turn one for Milton in this past game was great, except it wasn't what I was expecting. If that would have been a first turn training grounds over a first turn noble hierarch, when the biomancers hit and umbral mantle hit, you could have even play them in reverse. Get umbral mantle on the field first, not equip it to anything. Play your biomancers, just pump the crap out of it. All right, because the only kill spell that we saw was a collective brutality for -2, and that would not have done it. While Milton's deck is very susceptible to creature destruction, the big thing on that one was he just didn't have the land to help him out, and we haven't seen the card draw that a Bant deck usually has in it to help out and get combo pieces out. It's very odd, honestly. I'm probably going to sit down with Milton after this and at least have a look at what this thing runs.
Yeah, because I'm definitely was expecting at some point a Serum Visions try to set up, the next 3 draws.
They are 1-1 so far. Milton did get a little land short in the second game.
Do you think he keeps a hand with more consistent land?
He has to. He can't rely on creature-based ramp. There's too much kill in mono black. I honestly probably would have, if it were me playing, I probably would have sided out Noble Hierarchs for something like Growth Spiral out of the new Ravnica Allegiance set that came out. Go ahead and look that up. If you're playing Simic Colors, it makes no sense not to play Growth Spiral. Just 1 green, 1 blue, instant speed, draw a card, and put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Instantaneous ramp and card draw. Do it at the end of their turn. Do it whenever you want because it's an instant. Phenomenal little card coming out of Standard.
Honestly, it's a Semic Explorer.
Yeah.
But instant speed, which can matter a lot.
Yeah, it does.
What was that old janky land that lets you basically unattack a creature?
I
Yeah,
can't remember.
it was like a maze or something, and you removed a creature from combat.
Yeah, untap it and remove it from combat. Feel Cerebeth hit the one off Coco. I mean, he never really got even high enough. He didn't have enough mana to play Coco at any point in time, so it doesn't really matter. I'd actually be really interested to see how Coco works in this if you can actually get creatures on the board. The one kind of bad thing that we've seen from Bant Mantle is the fact that he's had to do his beat down with a Biomancer's Familiar and 2 man lands. It hasn't been the most efficient. But I am very interested to see if he can make it work this time round.
Right now we have the background music of the Nexus Esports here on the corner of 6th and Columbus playing, and Patrick's rocking out here in the streaming room.
I have no idea what song this is, but I really, really like it, and I just dropped the shit out of my phone.
I try not to do that on the air, at least. We don't want to hear what happens when your phone breaks.
Google Pixel 3, ladies and gentlemen, completely made out of glass, I swear. Cracks at an errant breeze.
I think it cracks at a thought, actually. So I think Milton there took a mulligan. Speaking of which, the new mulligan rule, what do you think? The London rule.
The what rule?
The London rule.
Is that what it's called?
Well, they name all these rules after where they're testing them.
Uh-huh.
That's a hollowed fountain coming out, if I remember.
Yeah, that is a hollowed fountain coming in tapped, which means no first turn play. As to the new mulligan rule, I'm not necessarily against it, nor am I necessarily for it.
Hey, no, like just straight up. We don't have an opinion here on this show. We have lots of opinions on this show.
Well, no, it's not that I don't have an opinion. It's just I think it's a little too forgiving, almost. Does that make sense?
I think it's going to be abused by combo players. That being said, combo's not in a good spot right now.
Well, there's always new cards coming out, so perhaps it'll get some help with the modern-only set that's coming out. Mine Wretch coming out. So Milton's going to have to ditch 2 cards, but he does so without an issue.
Does he ditch 2 cards or does he ditch an artifact?
I don't know. I'm going to go look real quick.
I say combo's in a horrible spot. Not all combo is in a horrible spot. You're right. That I you are 100% correct. Combo is not in a bad spot. I'd say of the 3 archetypes, right? Aggro, combo, and control. I don't know. Pure aggro is probably in the worst spot. Maybe it's control. Makes sense. So yeah, it was engineered explosives coming off to basically protect from mine wretch. Good play all around. There's a victim of night coming out there.
Thoughtseize.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, how did he pay for that? And then I realized all his lands are now swamps.
And he got rid of the fun police. That's my favorite term that has been used for deputy of detention so far. We might be seeing another another Biomancer's Familiar and Inkmoth beatdown this game, but if it works, it works.
Thing is Inkmoth is totally different in that it's infect. So you're kind of splitting your damage sources there.
Seems to be a discussion on the table.
I would love for the discussion to literally just be why you do this.
Oof.
That is a Phyrexian Revoker, gentlemen.
Naming the wreck.
A living pithing needle. Honestly, one of my favorite creatures, and a creature I really wish I could play main board, just because it's such a good control card. A creature that's a pithing needle just hurts.
Also, he's obviously sideboarded a lot of artifacts in here, which protects him from those mind wretches. Paying 2 to ditch 1 is not efficient.
Well, I wish he'd known he'd wanted some. I have plenty to spare.
Shoot,
I even have one in a foreign language.
I think I still have a couple lying around.
So we see a rat coming out and Shrieking Affliction. That hurts.
The Shrieking Affliction hurts, sure, but the rack is doing nothing because surely he named the rack as his
Well, the
target.
rack's it's not an activated ability; it's a trigger.
Ah, that's
What
right.
he probably activated was Mutavault. He probably said no Mutavault. Now, ironically, what Raymond needs now is a
Mutavault.
Well, no, I was gonna say he needs a engineered explosives. So we see creatures turning sideways here. That's a lot of damage coming out.
Well, 2 of it's an infect.
True.
But that's still at least 3 poison counters.
I don't think that's. Huh.
He turned off Lily.
Interesting.
I would have named Mutavault. Lily and hand. No.
Baited out the hand hate there.
Uh huh.
There's a Liliana.
But does he plus one her or minus two her?
He's smart. Well, he's gonna plus one her. Unfortunately, Milton might be down and out on this one. He's not gonna get his combo off. Like there's just no way to get the combo off at this point. Yeah, Milton's gonna take 6 next turn.
That's game.
No, he has 1 card in him. My bad. He's gonna take
He's going to take 3. Shrinking Affliction doesn't do any damage if you have.
1 or less card. So he's gonna take 5. So that's all Milton's got.
The funny thing is, if he has a pump spell in hand, he wins. Nope,
So he
that's
doesn't.
it. Well played, well played. 8-rack taking it. I'm going to actually go speak to Milton and see what's going on with this. We were seeing a few other things that were sideboarded into protect from 8-rack, worship being one.
All round though, a good round 2 there. Good back and forth between Milton and Raymond. Congratulations to Raymond for taking it round 2, continuing his undefeated streak. Uh, for
Chalice. God, that chalice would have come in handy.
oh yeah. Uh, this has been the Nexus Esports Friday Night Magic Modern event here on the corner of 6th Street and Columbus.
In historic downtown Waco.
In historic downtown Waco. If you like any of the games you're seeing, remember that we hold a Friday Night Magic Modern event obviously Friday, and Tuesday we hold a bit of a Magic Mixer, a casual training night for players to come down, play casually, and meet each other, get practice in. If you like the games you see, like the players you see, come on down, give us a visit Tuesdays. Come play with us on Fridays. We'd like to hear from you, see from you. Till then, we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll catch you next round.
very strongly that the knowledge would change anything at all.
And we are back with Friday Night Magic Modern Event. We are your casters, Edward Teague.
And Patrick Cosgrove and a phenomenal Cthulhu kitten playmat.
Fantastic. Once again, here at Nexus Esports on the corner of 6th and Columbus.
In historic downtown Waco.
Always historic. The most historic, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Waco's actually a great city. It's quiet when it needs to be, loud when it wants to be.
Which is more often than not.
Actually, I think we're what are we having in town this weekend?
This weekend is the Food Truck Festival and Competition. 85,000 tourists in the great city of Waco.
It's a population of like, what, 240,000?
Yes, we darn near went up a population bracket for a city. And of course, it's spring break, and Magnolia exists here, so we are in fact seeing plenty of tourists for that as well.
Yep. And so for round 3, we decided to pull some of the lower bracket players because next round, of course, we have to take the 2 highest seats, and we didn't want to pull any of them on the Switch stream only to have them play it back. So we pulled 2 out-of-towners, as you will. They live a few hours out of Waco. Josh Self and Keegan here. Josh Self playing a Esper Thopter deck, and Keegan, of course, playing a red deck wins. Just mono red, creatures turn sideways. So we see the Shockland come out from Josh Self on turn 1, but nothing coming out from it. Immediately into Keegan, who's going to play Soul Scar. It's going to get stocked by the Fatal Push. Fatal Push is such a good card, though. You know?
Fatal Push has changed how creatures are played in Modern. And for a while, it did in Standard as well.
I mean, it single-handedly made Goyf, for lack of a better word, and excuse my language, it's bitch.
Yeah. No, we are actually seeing more and more mid-range play from Jund these days than we are seeing the early Goyf for the quick beatdown. Which is nice. It's a good change of pace. It's been like that for far too long.
All right, so turn 2's coming out. We see the Ash Zealot from Keegan, the Engineered Explosives for 1 by Josh. Also, that's a Glimmer Void coming out on turn 2. Glimmer Void, kind of a dangerous card. You need to keep a land into, an artifact into play, or at the end of your turn you have to sacrifice it. So really, it's got to wonder what Josh is going to do here. Keegan getting that reliable turn 3 land. A Circle of Flames coming out. Circle of Flames, old enchantment that didn't see a lot of play back in its day, but a fantastic card for dealing.
My God, you can't spell.
Enough! I'll get there one day.
And Path on the Ash Zealot.
Circle of Flame. Like I said, it's an old enchantment. It was good for pinging down little dudes that couldn't fly, just keeping things from going wide, but
does almost nothing against Thopters, unfortunately.
We did see the Soulscar Mage, so you could kind of see where that combo would come in. Soulscar Mage sets whenever a source of non-combat damage deals damage to a creature. Instead, put -1/-1 counters. Turns all non-combat damage.
It's Wither.
Yep, it's a Wither. And with a Circle of Flames, you can kind of see where that comes from. If you turn 1 into turn 2, very reliable way to just ping down little dudes permanently.
And what is this? Is that a engineer? Grand Architect?
That is a Grand Architect. Yep.
Rift Bolt going off?
Rift Bolt going off, I believe straight into Josh's face. I'm actually not liking that play.
I would have killed the I would have killed the... Oh, well, there's the bolt.
I guess either way it works.
Man, I hope we see Skewer the Critics in this red deck, because that would be very sensible. It makes sense. Do you think he put Skewer the Critics in this red deck?
We'd have to wait to see. Of course, Skewer the Critics being the new conditional lightning bolt, as Wizards has stated, we will never get lightning bolt back.
We'll just get everything but lightning bolt.
And I see that he took the damage from Vexing Devil there.
Mm. I wouldn't have done that. I would have just engineered explosives it myself, but hey, that's just me.
Skewer the Critics here, the Spectacle Lightning Bolt. So I also do want to point out it is a sorcery speed card. Something I didn't actually, I thought it was an instant speed for some reason. So we see another Vexing Devil coming out. Vexing Devil is just such a good card to play in any red deck. A 4/3 for 1, and if your opponent can make him sacrifice it.
And what card is this that we're seeing? Is this a Rift Bolt going off to kill a...
A hard-casted Rift Bolt.
Now, unfortunately, it would seem as though Red Deck Wins is now top decking. It is out of gas and a kill has not been achieved. This is never a good position for Red Deck Wins.
One side effect of what just happened, though, is that Josh did lose a land from that. The Glimmer Void, as I talked about. Very dangerous to play without a really solid artifact. Engineered Explosive is just not really the card you want for that.
But he is shields up right now.
He is shields up. Keegan doesn't get any play off that, so we'll see what's happening. Both are retaining a single card in hand. Lands are hitting the field. Really makes you wonder what's in his hand. Four drop into a Hell Rider, I believe that is.
Hell Rider's an interesting little devil.
Pun intended?
No. It's just a damage amplification effect, really. Very niche, very good card.
It's supposed to be something you drop on turn to win the game. This is a little late, to be honest, for it to be coming in.
And with no support. Tezzeret the Schemer comes out.
He's got a +1. He's looking for an artifact that'll help him win this game, turn it around. I know I saw at least one artifact in his hand. I'm wondering what he's debating on right now.
Elixir.
Elixir of Immortality. Kind of an old favorite of mine, to be honest.
An oldie but a goodie. It buys him an extra turn at very least.
One drop artifact, easy to get out, easy to activate, 5 life, shuffle your graveyard back in your library.
Unfortunately, this very well could be game with Hell Rider on the field and a card in hand. If that is a source of burn, that is game.
Seems that he's actually going to redirect that, or put that damage over to Tezzeret. Not really what I'd go for here if I was Keegan. Keegan's got to think about trying to win, and his way of winning is dealing damage.
Must be a land in hand. Has to be. He has more than enough mana to cast anything in a red deck wins. I would go ahead and +1 Tezzeret here and then crack the Elixir.
Actually, kind of depends. Because one thing he could do is if he has a Fatal Push in hand, he could -1 Tezzeret, killing it, get the revolt trigger, and kill the devil here. Or he can also just do that with the elixir, by the way. Five life buys him some time. He's actually back to where he was when Keegan initially ran out of gas. Back to 9 life.
We really just need to see a Thopter and a sword hit the table here.
Looking at the top 5 cards. That is an ensnaring bridge. That's going to change a lot. Unfortunately, itself here still is a viable target for burn.
We also got a creature coming in.
That, I believe, is a Aethersworn Sculptor? Ethereum Sculptor. Ethereum Sculptor. Yeah, so that's an ensnaring bridge. But Ethereum Sculptor reduces the cost of artifacts by 1. Interesting, good play there by Mr. Self. He plays the Ethereum Sculptor, reduces the cost of the ensnaring bridge by 1, is able to play that back as well. And, of course, that allows him to hand dump cards.
+1 Tezzeret.
At this point, Mr. Self is looking for answers. Another ensnaring bridge. That is a Whir of Invention. For 1, I do believe. Actually, you can just tap it for 2, because Whir of Invention, of course, has Improvise.
Goes for the elixir again. Gonna tap and crack it.
Getting him back up to 8 life.
Kind of delaying what I think is the inevitable here.
One of the big centerpieces of this deck, of course, is, if I do remember right, I do believe that is the crux of the deck, Thopter Foundry. One of the advantages of the Thopter Foundry is its ability to generate life in this particular case. If Mr. Self gets any kind of combo that he can utilize with the Thopter Foundry out, he can effectively generate enough life to save himself.
There's an Ash Zealot on the field.
And it can swing because Mr. Self has 2 cards. He's going to block, but he should take 1 from the devil there.
They're gonna miss the trigger. Miss trigger is a miss trigger, boys and girls. And even as casters and judge, it is not our place to correct any player who misses a trigger. Unless, of course, it's a packed spell.
In fact, he can't even do that. There's a ruling now. You're not actually allowed to just miss your pack trigger.
Yeah, I know. We would have to run out there and tell him that can't happen. You can't lose the game, and you have to do that.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. You're not just memeing on me.
No, I'm not just memeing you. I mean it. Like, we can't sit here and say, hey, don't forget your triggers. But if it was a pact of negation or what have you, then yes, of course we would have to run out there and be all like, please don't try to lose the game against the rules.
So we see the engineered explosives being the card that got tutored up by the Agent of Bolus, and then we see it entering play. This could be a very quick way to get rid of some 2-drops. This yourself is going to immediately activate and destroy all 2-drop permanents on the field. Engineered Explosives is such a good card, you know?
It really is. It's fantastic sweeping removal. We're going to path the Hellrider. Excuse me.
Well, I would love to pull it up, but I can't get really proper version of it. There we go. Old Engineered Explosives. God, I wish I was playing in 5th Dawn back then.
Right?
Who would have thought this card would have just been a modern staple? We see a massive amount of mana being tapped out. And I think that's going to be game. That was a Devil's Play, if I can recall.
Yes, it was.
So game 1 going to Keegan with the mono red deck. So what does the artifact deck do?
Actually play artifacts. That would help. I don't know if it was just bad draws. I'll tell you right now, shuffling your library into your grave, or your graveyard into your library twice when you're trying to fetch certain things to answer isn't the smartest. For example, one play that Mr. Self made, he could have +1 Tezzeret and then shuffled the library. This would have allowed him to dig for an actual answer before having to shuffle his deck. For all we know, within those top 5 cards that got shuffled was a Thopter Foundry.
Furthermore, a lot of plays there that could have been instant speed being played as sorcery. Why was the Engineered Explosives tapped instantly? Why was a Whir of Invention brought out to bring out a Aether Vial instantly? I mean, Whir of Invention is an instant speed card. You could bring out the Aether Vial and activate it all in one turn.
I would definitely say that the two players that we're watching here, whilst probably knowledgeable of the decks that they are playing, might not understand the mechanics that go into them. We saw missed triggers, we saw mistimed plays, and this is a good learning experience. Should anybody be watching this in the future, or even currently, that's just now getting into Magic or just even getting into Modern, lots of tips and tricks you can learn from watching people misplay just as much as you can from watching them actively and correctly play their deck. Not everything is going to be Is It Phoenixes.
It's true. And I actually have a perfect deck for training someone on how to not miss triggers. Soul Sisters.
Yes. If you ever want to learn about triggers, go get yourself a place at a Soul Sisters, a place at or it's a
Soul Warden.
Soul Warden.
Soul Attendant.
Yeah, Soul Warden, Soul Attendant, and then gain a life, or play a creature and watch what happens. Playing a Johnny's Pride Mate specifically.
Yeah.
Trigger, 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 trigger. Oh, okay. How big is that thing?
Yeah. I think I once played a Soul Sisters deck and something absolutely ridiculous happened. I think I had 7 Soul Sisters, 7 of the Soul Sisters on the battlefield, and I brought back a whole bunch of creatures up to 17.
Yeah, no, I watched just the other day on MTGO somebody playing Soul Sisters with Soul Warden, Soul Attendant, and a Johnny's Welcome, and he had most of them on the board and played one of Johnny's Pride Mate, and that thing was just absolutely gigantic. And Fountains of Renewal, just because every turn he gained a life.
Fountain of Renewal is a card that I like. I always like those weird dingy artifacts though that just kind of do a little bit of nothing.
I mean, Fountain of Renewal, by the way, go ahead and pull it up while we're waiting for these players to get started. Fountain of Renewal, if you are just now getting into Magic, invest in Fountain of Renewals. This is Fountain of Renewal. It costs 1. Every upkeep you get a life, and if you're out of cards, kill it and draw 1. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this artifact.
That is a one-drop resource generator.
Yes, it is. In fact, I mean, there's a few sets that have existed where that probably would have been a rare.
Yep.
Not necessarily mythic. Now, if it gained 2 life.
Hey, you calm down. Or if it had been pay 1, draw a card, or pay 1, sacrifice and draw a card. Which, I mean, there's been artifacts that were literally tap, sacrifice, draw a card.
Yeah. And we're seeing a familiar play here with the Soul Scar Mage. Is that what that is, Soul Scar?
Soul Scar Mage. Fatal Push coming out again.
Oh, Jesus Christ, did we
I even shuffle these decks?
Vexing Devil. Take it. Take it. Take it. Yeah, attaboy. If your deck has a way to gain life and somebody tries to play Vexing Devil, take the damage. Pro tip. Unless you only have 4 life remaining, in which case don't take it because you will lose.
That's actually a misplay that happened both games, though. Josh played a Fatal Push at Sorcery Speed on turn 2. And each time you should have waited and seen if there was a more valuable card.
Hold on now. We do have a Thopter Foundry out and another Soul Scar Mage. Kind of doesn't matter at this point, though. He may be able just to make Thopters to block.
Thopters to block, Thopters to gain life. It's a hard combo for the red to deal with without artifact hate. We haven't seen any artifact hate, which is to be somewhat expected a little bit. It is just red beat down burn.
Shatterstorm, something.
Force. Yeah.
Ensnaring Bridge coming out. This is already a very rough thing for a red deck wins to go up against.
That being said, a little early on the Ensnaring Bridge, only that it comes out turn 3. Himself hasn't really gotten to expend all his cards.
Tapping out, is that a Hell Rider? That's a Hell Rider. Now, this is rough, right? That is going to be 4 to the face, and it should actually be 6 to the face. He's going to take 5 here because they don't understand the mechanic. I can't help it. Excuse me.
No, actually they did it. They got it.
Did they? Okay, thank God.
It's okay. It's okay. So we're coming into, what is this, turn 4?
Yeah, this will be turn 4, and what we really need to see from Mr. Self here is some type of... That's good. He technically has 3 mana open, if I'm not mistaken. That gives everything...
Actually, 2 mana. He can, but only for artifacts.
Ash Zealot hitting. This is a lot of damage coming in. But how many cards does Mr. Self have?
A little strange there that we didn't see a full swing. The extra 2 damage probably would have helped. Yes, we see the Grand Architect blocks the 2/2.
Something needs to happen here. A hand dump needs to happen right now if Esperthopters has any hope of winning this game. And there's the scoop. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's that. Red Deck Wins does exactly what it says it does. And yeah, I mean that's basically it. It's a definitely an unorthodox Red Deck Wins. Hellrider not very popular. Soulscar Mage I don't see all too terribly often.
No, definitely not.
Um,
Not outside of the standard it was in.
no. And Amonkhet was weird. Don't let anybody tell you different. Though I really like Amonkhet. Zombie Tribal actually got some support in the wrong colors. You gotta
Just wanted to expand it to New Horizons.
whatever. You gotta play Esper Zombies now.
All right, so yeah, I guess that'll bring us to the end of round 3 there.
And we will see you back here after a commercial break for the final round and the finishing of the night.
Yep, so stay with us and we will be right back.
And watch what happens to this purgatory.
find my room. I'll just sit and hold on to you. And it keeps me safe, yeah, it keeps me safe. And I really wish we could just stay. The time just keeps running away. And I might just choke, yeah, I might just choke.
And we are back with the fourth and final round of the Nexus Friday Night Magic Modern event. Once again, your casters, Edward Teague.
And Patrick Cosgrove.
Coming at you now at the top seats, Corey and Raymond. Raymond, we've seen on the stream tonight with the 8-rack deck. Corey, a once in a lifetime appearance. He's usually busy. He doesn't have the ability to get up here, but he actually managed to get up here this Friday. He's playing Bant Spirits.
Which is just blue-white spirits with collected company.
Yes. I have criticized him harshly on this deck.
Mausoleum Wanderer coming out in first turn. This is basically just a standard deck from the new Innistrad that has had Drop Skull Captain added to it.
And a collected company.
We
see the Wretch Mine coming out from Raymond turn 2. I'm surprised I didn't see Hand Destruction turn 1.
Tossing 2 cards.
One of them's collected company, I think.
Either means he doesn't have a Source of Green in hand, or he has another one in hand.
What's the Source of Green?
Draw Skull Captain comes in.
This game's going to be very quick. Both of these players are now fairly experienced. I mean, I know Corey is experienced, and Raymond is definitely got the games under his belt now.
I'm just so proud of Corey. back when I used to judge at Hastings here in Waco. Him and his friend Jeremy would play, and it would just be Thrag Tusks for days, and not a single Thrag Tusk in this deck. I'm so happy. When he included green, I figured, oh, great, there's a Thrag Tusk in here somewhere. All right. Kills the Mausoleum Wanderer.
Negative. Mausoleum's Wanderer can sacrifice itself to save another spirit, I do believe. Because otherwise he couldn't target it.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up.
Mausoleum Wanderer. Hey, Patrick, you know that problem I've been having all night?
Oh, God, no.
How do you spell that?
I don't know how to spell mausoleum, actually. And we're seeing him Phantasmal Image. That's going to copy Drogskol Captain. So now he has 2 lords on the battlefield. No. No. What are you doing? I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. My co-host cannot spell. College graduate, ladies and gentlemen.
At this point, I'm doing it on purpose. There you go. Mausoleum Wanderer.
Good card. Great 1-drop spirit. Ooh, Kamigawa Spirit. God, I can't remember the name.
Something the Great Glass Spinner.
Yeah, the Great Glass Spinner. Go ahead and pull that up. That's a very niche card.
I was actually here when he bought it here at Nexus Esports.
In historic downtown Waco.
Damn it.
Augur of Skulls coming out, along with a Mutavault.
Yep, but there you go. Kira, the Great Glass Spinner.
Great amount of protection. Kill spells have to hit twice.
We do see the rat coming out on Corey there. But I don't know how much help it's going to give.
Fetch lands coming out. Goes a digging. Now, unfortunately, all of the creatures that the rack plays here cannot fly. They have no wings, and every spirit does.
It would be interesting, though, to see Raymond drop a number of racks on the field and use Augur to get the rest of Corey's hand. Because I think he only has 2 cards in hand.
Good shuffle from Corey there. Good shuffle technique as well. No stacking. Very clean. Didn't bend the cards. How a player shuffles is usually indicative of the ley line. Liliana can no longer target.
Liliana doesn't target. Unless you're talking about the sack mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah, it just says each player discards a card, right?
Yep. So the interaction there, though, is that...
But Liliana's in the grave, so that means all of the tempoed hand hate that Raymond has...
including that Augur of Skulls.
...no longer applies.
Strange main board, to be honest. Just kind of right there. You usually see Leyline in the sideboard.
Probably a one of. I didn't really memorize the deck when I looked through it. Corey informing Raymond that you cannot target me with with Augur of Skulls. There's a Liliana, though. That'll work.
The problem is, it's not really a lot of hand hate there.
The problem is Liliana is dead even if she plus ones. No mana in hand. That just means a dead Liliana.
They just messed up.
How so?
Liliana just -2 to kill Glass Spinner.
Well, Leyline doesn't say. Oh
Yep,
wait, it's
X-Force.
target player. Hold on.
And as we resolve this particular misplay here by these two very experienced players, we have Patrick Cosgrove coming back to see how we will resolve the matter.
The matter was resolved easily. When you pay for a, it's just like casting a spell. When you use a, sorry about that. Hold on. Started my explanation a little early. When you use a planeswalker ability, it's like using a spell. That's why planeswalkers are powerful. Sacrifice the loyalty points, and then you get to choose your effect, right? So when he paid 2 loyalty, he got that effect, right? Unfortunately, that effect fizzles as he cannot target anything.
Very much so. And as we see, I think they scooped up there. Corey probably takes game 1, moving into game 2. What does Raymond do here?
Not misplay that hard.
Yes, that was a very, very hard misplay. Also misplay on Corey's part for not catching it.
That's all right. That's why we're here.
We are the extra eyes in the skies, as it were. Honestly, this is a bad matchup for Raymond. His is more of a control deck against control, against combo. He's never actually had to deal with a strong tribal aggro like this.
Well, so Spirits is a weird tribe anyway. All right, they do a lot of stuff that other tribes don't do.
Oh, you
Right?
mean like Merfolk?
Well, so Merfolk do weird stuff, but not that weird, right? Like the most a Merfolk's gonna do usually is Master of the Waves and make a lot of elementals, or play Merfolk that draw cards or give +1/+1 counters, and one of them sleeps your board. Um,
Sorry, I guess my experience with Merfolk, usually you see things like Simic Charms, you see some negates or mana leaks.
sure,
It's an aggro deck that can play counter spells very easily.
yeah, but it's never a lot of counterspells. You're usually talking maybe a playset of Cryptic Command and Negate, right? They're not reliable. In Spirits, it's built in. You have indestructibility, you have evasion, you have counter, right? Like just off the rip, we've got Kira the Great Glassspinner, which means point destruction is basically useless. You're gonna have to cast it twice to kill anything. We've got Mausoleum Wanderer, which at any time can just sack itself to save a lord, right? Spell Queller, Flash, exiles a spell. Selfless Spirit sacrifices and gives everything indestructible until end of turn. Spirits are crazy because they have built-in protection against things that normally hurt tribes. And while yes, it might cost them bodies to do it, it almost doesn't matter because of how big the basic spirit is, and it has built-in evasion.
Not to mention, the average spirit has.
Flying, right? That's the built-in evasion, right? There's not a.
I
I
thought you
think
meant like evasion, like evading the damage, like
no,
hexproof, for instance.
no. Like there are a couple green spirits that don't have flying. Permeating mass, for example, if you want to go ahead and pull that up. Um, I think that's what it's called, permeating mass. Nailed it. Interesting little critter, but no flying. But blue-white spirits, if it's white or blue and it's a spirit, or even if it's black and it's a spirit, it flies. I've actually used that thing to great effect.
I can see it. Also love the flavor there. So what does Corey do? I mean, he already had the answers, to be honest. Does he need to do anything?
I mean, the best thing that can happen for Corey is ley line turn 1. If, like, that's the problem with tempo rack, right? Since you're not relying on control-y rack, I guess. The more your style of 8 rack that you play, right? Where there's a lot of things that just make you discard cards, not necessarily targeted spells. With that being the case, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? And one of those things is like a first turn ley line just blows you out of the water. You can't do anything. Can't get Thoughtseize, can't get Inquisition, can't get Mind Wretched, can't get...
We see a turn 1 Thoughtseize coming out from Ray. Actually, no, not a turn 1. I take that back because Ray lost. Oh, you know what? I know it. I know what's going on. I've been wondering about this all night. Ray's conceding the opening hand.
Yeah.
Ray was recently given advice that if he allows his opponent to go first, they don't get the first draw, reduces their hand size, and allows him to break down their hand faster.
Not a bad idea in rack.
Unfortunately, he also is playing tempo, which means he needs to hit cards in the right order with destruction.
Lets him keep the Geist. Interesting. Oh no, he gets rid of the Draw Skull Captain.
Yes, but I think he kept a spell color.
Yeah,
Here comes
but
the
it doesn't
funeral
matter. Here
charm
comes the Funeral
coming
Charm.
out the gates.
Ditches a path to exile. There's something I would have gotten rid of if I was sideboarding for this.
Yes, Shitty Poo. Magic does in fact rule.
It's a very, very clever name.
Unless he's just simply stating that Magic has rules. He could just be exemplifying that fact.
Magic does have a lot of rules.
Magic is literally a game of rules and how to break them.
All right, what have we dropped here? I don't know what that is. I think it's a Spirit Lord of some kind. I'm going to go check.
And of course, with 3 mana open, I think Raymond had a Spell Queller. Yes. So, Spell Queller comes out, and that is Exile.
Supreme Phantom, also Spell Queller. Ouch.
Yes. We actually saw Raymond's eagerness get ahead of him there. He tried to throw out 2 racks instantly, and that is not how that happens.
Supreme Phantom is the other card that we're seeing. Ed's going to go ahead and pull that up for you guys, if he can remember how to type. Very
Drop
nice.
Lord for Phantoms.
With 3 on the butt. Ouch. Spell Queller, go ahead and pull that up. Spell Queller is a huge threat for spirits.
3 drop 2/3 flyer with flash that exiles a spell off the stack.
Very, very good, but also a 2/3 body with flying for 3 is super economical. The fact that it's a pseudo counterspell is beside the point.
All right, so we see the Shrieking Affliction coming out. The Raven's Crime went out. I think Corey is without a hand.
He is.
That is going to be 9 damage coming out the gates there for Corey. He might be in a bad way here. He's going to do some damage to Ray.
And he scoops it up.
Also, 1 and 1.
Going to
Ray's not
game
out of this
3.
yet. Good tempo by Ray. I know I was criticizing him at the beginning of here, but he actually managed to get the right tempo off. Corey did not get the effects he needed to protect himself. He didn't get the ley line.
He didn't get the ley line. He didn't get the Mausoleum Wanderer. That spell queller came out too late, unfortunately.
And honestly, all it stopped was
Why is Ray a 7 and Corey a 1? I don't know. They
I think he was pointing out the life totals there.
Ah.
And I see we are joined by John himself, the myth, the man, the legend, the bearded dragon, the drunken wanderer, the shady pirate. Yes, they are resetting life totals off the tablet that they use to track life totals. It's broadcast back here with our streaming program.
Is that a Klingon?
No, that's a picture of John.
I'm pretty sure it's a Klingon, like a skinny, girly Klingon. Probably one they would have eaten.
So, interesting thing about this deck, or about this game, Corey's on the play if he wants to be. But Ray also
I have a
wants him to be on
cold.
the play.
Back off. He's hearing breathing into the mic. Yes. No, I'm sorry about that. A bearded woman, that I believe. I don't know. That forehead still says Klingon.
It's not rigid enough.
I know. That's why he's a girly Klingon.
Girly Cleons had ridges.
That's pretty sad.
Maybe he's a half-breed.
See, that's just a girly Klingon trying to hide the lack of forehead ridges. Aether Vial, turn 1. No, turn 0, really.
There's the Thoughtseize coming out. Now, of course, Ray's got to hit the tempo. There's land. There's something I don't care about. He's going to hit the Drug Skull Captain.
Oh, hitting the Drug Skull Captain is the best plan. You want to keep the amount of lords that hit the battlefield to an absolute minimal. And with no source of blue mana on the field, it's probably the best play.
Well, Shitty Poo, to be honest, Corey technically has the advantage in a tribal aggro deck with a lot of built-in protection. That being said, Raymond, took us by surprise there with Game 2, definitely just making a very strong play and just beating down his opponent. So we got to really wonder what Ray's going to do coming into this final game of the final round of the night. And he is tempoing off pretty good. Although I would have liked to see another hand destruction spell.
No land drop turn 3. It's terrible.
What do you mean?
Yes.
This is turn 3.
Oh, okay. Was that all at the end of his last turn?
I know it's happening here.
Inquisition
coming out. So now you got to wonder, what is he going to hit?
Well, there's still no blue mana, so really you can hit anything that you want. Corey's deck might be betraying him here.
Yep. In fact, at this point, hold on.
Smallpox.
Hold on. If it looks like he's actually just going to let it happen. Just an all-around good amount of tempo there coming from Raymond. Unfortunately, what Raymond needs now more than anything is the racks, the damage. He's got Corey where he wants him. He has to deliver.
Mind Wrench coming out.
He's only going to hit one card, but he knows he's going to hit something.
Selfless Spirit.
Ray's in a bad way. What's he going to do? There's the damage. Shrieking Affliction. Yeah, they bit of a misplay there. He's like, I don't have the mana. My bad.
Definite clock for Corey here. That Smallpox was a perfect play.
So Corey's going to take the 3 damage again. If he retains cards in hand, he won't get hit by the Shrieking Affliction. That being said, Raymond has everything he needs to keep putting cards out of Corey's hand. There's the Inquisition.
Revealing a land and a phantasmal image.
That's going to be 3 damage on Corey again. This is a savage clock. Shrieking Affliction is one of those weird racks because you have to get them all the way down to 1, but once they're down, they're down.
Collective Brutality.
Unfortunately, it's not going to work.
Not going to hit anything. Retaining land in hand is actually very smart. You're going to dodge Inquisition, dodge Thoughtseize, and dodge Collective Brutality. He's going to have to throw Mind Wrench or Smallpox to get him down the rest of the way.
Oh, Raven's Crime. Raven's Crime's also a perfectly valid option here.
But it looks like he's top decking. Yeah, not only is he snapping it, but he's halfway throwing them because he's so
he's so eager to win.
He's so ready. Go ahead and ditch 2 cards, he says. Shrieking Affliction, Funeral Charm. That's
almost game.
Probably gonna be game.
That's down to
1 life.
2 life.
Is it 2? Yeah, he was at 8.
But it's literally down to, does Raymond have the hand destruction? This game is decided. He doesn't. He's Shrieking Affliction. Just doesn't need it. He's actually gonna concede.
And they walk away. Ladies and gentlemen, that is round 4. That is both of our games. All 3 of them, yes?
All 3. Took it in 3.
Took it in 3. Went down to the wire. Very nice. And Ray's Tempo 8 rack. Looking good. Looking very good.
Very solid play. I would like to see a little discipline in his play. Getting a little excited there at the end.
Yeah.
Got to be very careful with that. A, because you'll make misplays, and B, because it's always the worst thing to play.
Well, not only that. These little pieces of cardboard are expensive. Yes, it was 2-1 Ray. And if you snap a... so what happened was an enchantment called Shrieking Affliction, which deals 3 damage to any opponent with 1 or less cards in hand, and he had 3 of them out. So that was up to 9 damage a turn, and Corey could not keep cards in hand because of the amount of hand hate that Ray plays. So he was able to hand hate all the cards out of Corey's hand and just clock him to death every turn off of 3 damage chunks. It's a good combo. It's been around for a long time. It's called 8 Rack. You run that and another card called the Rack, which we will pull up for you here. And as you can see, as the rack comes into play, choose an opponent. At the beginning of chosen player's upkeep, the rack deals X damage to that player, where X is 3 minus the number of cards in their hand. Yes, very well played, Ray. He managed to do it without actually getting racks on the... Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, Shitty Poo. We appreciate being appreciated. That being said, I'd like to wrap up the night here. This has been the Nexus Friday Night Magic coverage of our Modern event. Uh, Congratulations to Ray, and I think first official undefeated victory here at our Friday Night Magic event. Um,
Well, if you know nothing about Magic, stay tuned every Friday. I'm not always here, but Ed sure is. You'll see a lot of interesting play, and if you're ever interested in playing and you live here in Waco, come on up to Nexus Esports at the corner of 6th and Columbus in historic downtown Waco. And if you're not from Waco or anywhere around here, look for your local hobby shop. Get on in. There are people who will literally hand you beginner's decks for free.
and once again, in addition to our Friday Night Magic event, we are trying to host a casual night on Tuesdays, a meet and greet, a bit of a social mixer, if you will, amongst local Magic players to get up here, learn the game. Yes, Nexus Esports, it is in the game. So once again, this has been our coverage of the Friday Night Magic Modern event. We appreciate all who've tuned into our stream today. We've been your casters, Edward Teague.
And Patrick Cosgrove, good night and good luck, everybody.
Oh, and have a safe and happy St. Patrick's Day.
By that, he means drink irresponsibly. Have fun.
By the way, I feel bad. I never asked you how your love life is going.
No. As you know, that was a done deal long ago.